Hi, my name is Destiny and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll see how passwords are really cracked by hackers. Passwords are generally not safe as plain text. Any website nowadays on the internet uses a hashing algorithm to encrypt and manage passwords, and there are many types of hashing algorithms like the SAH1, the MD5, MD6, Tiger, and as an example for this video, let's consider Facebook. In order to log into your Facebook account, you enter your email and a password and click on the login. The first time you create a Facebook account, you're asked to fill a form on Facebook like this, which contains your name, your email addresses, and it asks you to choose a password and your date of birth, and in some cases your gender, I think. And once you click on the sign up button, this data is sent to Facebook backend's database. In the Facebook's database, your name, your gender, your age, your date of birth, your email, and your phone number is saved as this. But what about your password? As I told you earlier, a password will never be saved as a plain text in a website's database. So this password is given as an input to a hashing algorithm, and the output given by the hashing algorithm is the encrypted form of the password, which appears to be random but is not. This hashed password is saved in the Facebook's database but not the plain text, which means the password which you entered will never be saved on Facebook's database as a plain text. Instead, only it's encrypted, or in other words, the hashed password is saved in the Facebook's database. Now, suppose Facebook had a data breach and hackers managed to gain access to Facebook user infos, which included their name, their age, their gender, email, and password. Though hackers have this information, they will not be able to log into any specific user account because the password is encrypted. If the hacker tries to log into any specific account with a hashed password, he will not be provided access to the account. He only needs to enter the password which is in the plain text form. So what the hacker do know intuitively is that the only possible way is to reverse the hash into its plain text form, but this is highly impossible because a hash is a one-way function and the plain text form of a hash cannot be obtained from the hash itself. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying, and that is how hashing algorithms are designed. So what's next? This is when the strength of a password comes to play. If you're using a common password like, let's say, test1234, which I used earlier to sign up for the Facebook, then hackers would easily be able to know the plain text form of your password from the hash strings. And take note, there is something known as a rainbow table. This rainbow tables contains the password hashes of numerous commonly used passwords along with their plain text form, so the hackers will be able to do a simple search with the password hash that he has, and if the password hash exists in the rainbow table, that means the password is successfully cracked and we now have the password in a plain text form. Remember, the rainbow tables contains the password hashes of only the password which are commonly used and weak. As a reference, you can try it yourself at crackstation.net. But what if the password is not a commonly used password? In that case, rainbow tables have no use. So there comes in dictionary attack and brute force attack. Both are quite similar. In dictionary attack, you have a word list, and a word list is nothing but a huge text file with loads of password in this. The attacker or the hacker writes a code which compares the password, and if eventually the passwords happen to be correct with the password hash of each and every other password that exists in the word list file, any hashes match, then it means that the crack was successful and we now have the plain text of the hashed password. Now, this attack can be targeted specifically as well, which means you can actually create your own word list targeting a specific individual, provided that you know some basic details about him or her, and assuming that he used his basic details to frame his password, then this attack can be a success or failure based on the quality of your word list that you used. Then if you're using a brute force attack, each and every combination of letters and symbols are converted into their hash forms and then compared with the password hash which is to be cracked. In other words, you are literally taking every possible password that can exist, convert it into its hash, and check if the hashes match. So yes, it literally takes forever to crack a strong password, which you might be thinking right now. So, however, if the computer's processing speed happens to be quite good and fast enough, then yes, it can crack passwords that are easy and weak. A new technique called sorting is introduced by the security analyst to give hackers a hard time in cracking password. In this technique, a specific combination of characters are inserted at specific positions of the plain text of the password. Before hashing, every company has its own sorting algorithm, and and they don't make this sorting algorithm public. For example, let me just show you what I'm trying to say here. So this is a password hash sorting diagram that I made. So this is how it works. Let's say the user password is Apple over here, and when it gets sorted, a random text, or let's say a random alphabet, is added at the back or at the front of the main user password. It can be added between these, or at the front or at the back. Then when that is done, take note, if that was sent to the database just like that without being hashed, it would be sent like this with only the sorted text that was there. So this is it in the database, just with the YRTZD text, not the Apple. So when the hacker eventually gets access to the sorted password text, that is when things get complicated, because he do not know what the real password is, and if he tries converting this into a hash password and reversing that, he keeps getting issues, and he'll keep getting issues and problems. So when the password is sorted and a hashing algorithm occurs, this is what you get, a bunch of text strings inclusive of alphabet and numbers. So that can be stored in the database over here as this. So hopefully you understand what the sorting method means. It's actually to add some bunch of text in the main password to actually get it complicated and all that. So even if the password to be cracked is a weak and commonly used password, because the hash of the password without the sorting do not match the hash of the password which is sorted. Also, brute force attack and dictionary attack are not effective to crack sorted passwords unless the hacker already knows the sorting algorithm employed by a company. So that was pretty much it, and I hope you guys liked this video and found it useful. And if you did, I would really love it if you drop a like and consider subscribing, because more awesome contents are on its way. And finally, comments down below whatever you might have in mind regarding this video, and I hope I'll see you in my next video. Bye.